Hello, everyone, and hello to my guest, Cristhina. Just a couple of housekeeping reminders that everyone should be muted and their video is off. We are officially recording right now, and we'll go for about 20 minutes-ish, and then we have plenty of time for your questions. I'm very excited. Cristhina is a colleague. She works here in Europe. I've been learning a little bit more about the online outreach that organizations are doing to help reach out to sexually exploited people. Where a lot of organizations have been doing in-person outreach, Cristhina's organization started working on this about a year ago. And so they already had a head start on doing an online outreach. And so I invited her on to help explain more about how to do it and how to get started. And so I'll turn it over to Cristhina.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me, having me here. It's been such a trip this past year because we started before COVID, and then we saw that it was amazing how timing happened, and we can use what the little we know to take advantage of the fact that we can't really do much street outreach, and we can actually reach out to the women online. And we've discovered so much in these past months and this past year. The reason why we started doing it in the first place is because we're an organization here in Europe, and we did street outreach. We would go out every other week. We would do night outreach, daytime outreach, and we would just go to the streets in our city. And that's how we met the women. We started seeing a shift in the past 3 years from a specific people group from the east of Europe that we weren't seeing anymore in the streets. We were only finding Nigerian women. And we started wondering, okay, what happened to them? And some of them talked to us and they told us, well, we've been doing online ads and we receive our clients in apartments. And so we knew that this was happening, and we always kept it in the back of our mind, like, okay, we need to look into this and actually do this. So I heard from a friend in America that was doing this type of online outreach, and I asked her, hey, what do you do? Can you help me? And they started sending me their trainings. And last year we decided to translate it and train people here in the city where we work. I'm not gonna say where I work, just for security reasons. But yeah, so in Europe. So we had to do a lot of research, find the pages where the ads are posted here in our country. And after we found that, we realized that, okay, this is a big need. There's so many women that are hidden from our eyes, and we can actually reach by calling them. So basically what we do is we look for their ads, get their information, and then we call them. And these are women that most of the time they put their ads personally, but other times, especially the younger ones, we found that their ads are put on by someone else. So they have to pay someone to take care of the ads and everything that entails. And the ads are very explicit. I think it's been harder for my team to actually do call outreach, like the phone calls, than to actually do in-person outreach, because you're not seeing the person, how they react, and what you read on the ads is just so graphic. And we cover the pictures. We don't see the pictures. There's a way you can cover it with the computer, but even what we read is so graphic that it becomes really difficult. So it's been quite an interesting learning experience. And we've also realized, and we've read studies that have been done by the European Commission, that a lot of these women that have ads online, there's different ads for different women, but there's one phone number for all of them. So we've realized, and we've seen it happen, even 2 weeks ago, we had 2 women from 2 different parts of the world, 2 different countries, but one phone number. So we are seeing this happen, and it shows us that there's actually an organization behind it. And so this is just a quick one-on-one on how to do online outreach. Of course, it's not super profound. You can contact me later if you want more information, but I created a sheet that I gave to Catherine as a basic training on how to start. So I would say that what you need first is a team. we already had a team. We had a team that has gone through trauma-informed care trainings. They have gone through how to talk to, how to work with victims of sexual exploitation. So they had the experience. But if you don't have that, I would totally recommend that first you get a team together that's interested, passionate about this, but also that would get training, trauma-informed care training, because it's so important to know that when you work with these women, they come from trauma, from a background that is very difficult to understand, and so it helps you have a conversation with them. So you need to get a training, and then you need some instruments. So what we recommend is that you have a computer that's dedicated only for this. So it wouldn't be your personal computer, but a computer that's dedicated to the organization, to the team. Or we have a ministry and we're actually part of a church, but we've had a computer that we use only for us, so that's what we started using. You also need a phone, like an actual device, and a phone number, a SIM card that's dedicated to this, and it's under, if possible, the organization's name. That's what we have here as well. We need Wi-Fi, of course. You need internet to do the research. You need, and you actually, I forgot to mention, when in other countries, not in the country where I am in Europe, but for example, in the United States, some teams use Google Voice. If you create an account with Google Voice, you can actually call through Google Voice, and I believe it creates a specific number, and many people can use the same account at the same time. So if you have different teams, they can do different calls at the same time. This is for bigger groups, but it works really well, and I believe in America it's free. Here where I am, it's not available, so we couldn't do that. You obviously need an antivirus. I mentioned two of them that were given to me by someone who's very involved in cybersecurity, and you need a USB to store the information. Another thing is, as a browser, we recommend that you use Tor. It's a system, a browser system that you can download for free, and it's very, very safe. It's much safer than anything else, than Google Chrome or anything else. So we've been using Tor. Again, this is all written down in the page. You just need to know that you can disclose your name and last name, only just your name. You can disclose your specific location, and to keep your team secure, by doing this in a separate computer and a separate phone, you also should have, per se, an office or a neutral place that you should do it at. Of course, now with COVID restrictions, this might be different, and we have done it from home. So during the lockdown, I contacted the women from my house, but I had a Zoom call with the team so that they would all be present. And but of course, if you don't have restrictions, you can do it from a neutral place. And when the women want to meet, we recommend that you meet at a daytime, not a nighttime. And you can go with another person, so you shouldn't go alone, and go to a public place. That's what we recommend for the first time you meet a woman. Of course, we also recommend that you keep the women's information confidential. Only the team that is part of this outreach should have this information, and you shouldn't share it outside of the group or through social media. We're very careful about that. I did write down a conversation guide, or like tips for how to talk to them. And what we have is a script. We do have a specific script that we always have in front of us when we call. We call the women, we put it on speaker, and then the rest of the team is listening in, and one of us talks. There's a script and we just follow it. But of course, after that, you have to improvise according to how the conversation goes. But basically what you say is, "Hi, I saw your ad online. My name is Cristhina. I work with blah, blah, blah. We offer support to women, and, can you talk?" Something very simple. And with the time, with the experience that we've had, we realized that it's important to tell them from the first moment that you got their number from an ad online. Because we didn't used to say that before. We were just like, "Hi, I'm Cristhina. How are you?" But they're like, "How did you get my number?" A lot of them didn't even know their ad was online. And that was surprising. Catherine, feel free to interrupt me and ask me questions.
No, that's great.
Yeah, so other times they're like, why are you calling me? What do you want from me? Do you want to sell something? Because they're not used to someone calling them if it's not for work. So that was interesting. We've learned with time that we have to be very clear about who we are, and speak slowly. I speak very fast, as you can tell, so I had to change that. We really we're really careful about not using the word help, but using the word support, because in this, even though these women most probably have been exploited, and some of them are there by force, like they really don't want to do this. When you use the word help, it kind of creates a barrier between you and the woman. So you want to be there to walk alongside of them, to support them, and you just say, hey, we offer support. We also say sometimes, we can support you, sorry, with social services, or going to a doctor, or with your documents. We can support you with this part of life. We say, we know life is very difficult, and so we just want to be here for you. We just want to be there for women. So that's one thing, that the help word that we really don't use. We try the best we can to not use it. We want to empower them. We want to encourage them. We want to just say, just be interested in them. How are you? How's everything? And I did write some open-ended questions, like, hi, would you mind talking about this? Or thank you for your time. And then see what they respond. Or how do you feel about? And with COVID, it's actually been way easier to talk to them, because we ask, hey, we just want to know how you're doing with this pandemic. How are you coping with this? How are you dealing with this? Is there anything that's changed? And they really talk. They open up. Most of them really open up. We also want to be really careful to listen. We want to just give them space to talk and not interrupt, and just not sound judgmental at all. And one of the reasons why, as a team here, we decided not to look at their pictures was because we didn't want to judge them from the pictures we saw. We did begin by seeing the pictures, and we would, actually, I know another team that takes a screenshot of their face so that they could see their face. And it's nice, you want to see their face so you know who you're talking to. But at the same time, what we found was that we couldn't just see the face. We saw everything else, and it just gave us an idea of her, of something that we don't want to judge her for.
That's right.
So we decided not to look at the pictures.
You can still personalize it and have a connection with the person without seeing all the other.
That's the reason why we did one outreach with pictures, and then we're like, you know what, this is not necessary.
Yeah.
Let's just go without it. And it made our life better too, because when you see that, it's like watching porn.
Yeah. Well,
so
is.
Of
exactly.
course, if it's very, we're sensitive to, anyone is sensitive to this. So and another thing I didn't mention is, when I do the research, I do it with someone else. I'm never alone when I do research, when I go on these pages. And the type of pages that I'm talking about is pages that are called meeting spaces, like, where a man wants to meet a woman.
Yeah.
Or a woman meets a woman, or they have different options.
Yeah.
We choose the man that wants to meet the woman, and then we go to our city, and that's where we see all the ads. And there's so many ads. You click on one, and by the time you go back to the main page, you see 10 new ones in like 10 seconds. I don't even know, like they just keep coming up and up and up. And so there's so many women. We realize that it's a whole nother world from the street outreach compared to street outreach. We found a lot of women from countries that we had never met before in the streets. For example, Asian women, we never saw them in the streets. We've seen a lot of Asian women, Hispanic women, Latinas. I speak Spanish, so that helps because it opens the door right away. And we have another team member who speaks Portuguese. And we've honestly found the majority to be Latinas or Brazilian.
Wow.
We found a lot of South American, Caribbean women, Brazilian, Asian, and some Eastern Europeans. So that's mostly what we see here. The hardest ones to speak to are the Asians, because they don't speak any language that we know. They don't speak English, Spanish, Italian, German. I'm telling all the languages that that we could get access to. Portuguese, they're just like, I don't understand. They say it in our language. Oh, I don't understand, but then that's it. It can't go anywhere because they really can't understand what we're saying. And we send them text messages too. So we also have a script for text messages. If in case the girl doesn't answer or she just hangs up the phone, we just send a text message. This comes with what to expect. I wrote some of the things that you might receive from a call, and it's surprising because some days when we call, everyone hangs up the phone. Some days when we call, we have like great conversations. Last week 2 weeks ago, we had an outreach, and out of 17 women we called, we were able to have long conversations with like 9, and that's a lot. That's a lot. Usually we get good conversations with 2 or 3. And I think also because of COVID, women are more receptive now. There's just been such a change, and everyone is in such a panic in a way that that they're really thinking about how can my life change, and like they're realizing that they can do something else. What to expect? Some women hang up right away. Like I said, we send a text message to them. Usually, some are confused, like I said earlier. Another reason why they're confused, let's say we say that we're from a Christian organization. So we say right away that, we're from a church, basically. And they're like, why would a church want to talk to me? Like, why would a church log into the pages where my ads are located? And they're very surprised, but in a good way. And so this shows them like that there's people that love them and that are here for them. Some of them, one woman told me like, we are the last people that someone would want to talk to. Why would you call me? Like, why would you want to hear from me and know about me? And that also shows a lot of love, the fact that we take time to call them. Some start telling their whole stories right away, and they're like, yeah, this is who I am, this is where I'm from. Some just tell us about their families and how long they've been here. Some actually want to meet. We called a woman, and 3 days later we met up with her and her coworker because they had a specific need. So it's just been amazing. We've discovered so much, and we're still discovering a lot. So yeah, that's basically what we've lived here. I'm sure if you have questions, I would be happy to answer. I try to kind of tell you the specific, the most important things of what I've learned, but so much to it.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course there's a lot to it, but I want people to understand that this is something that's really important, and as you have demonstrated, that once you get started, you're discovering so many more women, so many different avenues, and so many more people that you never would have discovered just walking the streets. And yes, it's definitely hard. I'm going to ask you a couple questions here to get started. And I think while we're still recording, and then I'll open it up for the rest of our participants. But back to some of sort of what you need. Do you use like a virtual private network, like a VPN, to mask your IPN so that it can't be traced back? Is that something that you also recommend?
Yes, that's something I recommend, though I haven't set up because we haven't really, just to be honest, we haven't really taken the time to set up that besides everything else that we've set up. But what I've understood is Tor, the search engine, actually helps you because it changes I'm not good with technical words.
It changes the IP, the address back. It's changing the trace back. The connections.
Trace. So it's harder to trace back to us. So we have to do that, actually, the VPN. But we haven't done it. But I'm sure there's a page that George created. And he tells all about that.
Yes, he does. And I just want to tell everyone that that's another colleague of ours in Europe, in another country, is really an expert on these kinds of things. So I want to encourage you. You don't have to be a tech expert to set this up. There's people around that will help give guidance, like our colleague George. And I can share it. He has a very technical handout that details a lot of these things, and it blows my mind when I read it, but yeah, it's very helpful. Another question. So I want to ask, has there been a time when you've kind of run into trouble, or sort of like, can you give an example of maybe what not to do, or learning the hard way or something?
Yeah, like trouble per se, we haven't.
Yeah, okay, good.
But
That's good.
We have learned different things. One thing is we first started with our script by asking them, are you so-and-so? Because we would see their name. And we had so much trouble with that at first, the first 2 weeks, because a lot of the women, especially the age, very much like, why are you asking me my name? Why do you care? Like, who are you? They were very taken aback by the fact that we knew their name, but it's not their real name. What we found is not their real name, but still, the name they use for this. And a lot of ads don't have names. So we just realized, okay, it's just better to take that out of the script. Don't ask their names, just say who you are and see if they want to talk. And then as you talk, you can ask, oh, sorry, I didn't get your name. What's your name? So even if we have their name because it's on their ad, we just don't ask and we just say, can I get your name? Just if the conversation goes along. Another thing is the whole online ad topic. Like we started saying at first, we didn't say where we found their number, and they were very confused as well. So we just say it from the beginning. Hi, I saw your ad online. So
Right.
I would say just be very honest with who you are, what you want to do, and that you know what they're doing. Because sometimes they want to cover it. They don't want to accept it, because you're on the phone. You're not with them in the street, so it's different. Trouble? No, we haven't really seen anything like that happen. Yeah.
Good. And without getting into too many technical weeds, I'm assuming there's a technical way to hide the photos, so you're not exposing yourself to other graphic images and the explicit images.
So before I used Tor, because George is the one that gave us a training on cybersecurity, but I received this training during the lockdown, and we had already been doing outreach before, so we weren't as safe. And I was using Google Chrome, but I was using an image blocker an add-on that you put on Google Chrome, and so you can just look it up. It's called Image Blocker in Google Chrome, and you set it up and you enable it when you do the research, and then you take it away after if you don't, just for when you do research, you don't see the pictures. But with using Tor, there's actually in the settings for Tor, there's an option, and it's the safest option. And so you choose that, and that way the pictures are blocked.
Okay.
And actually, just to be honest, recently I used the safest option, but nothing, the ad per se wasn't coming out. So we ended up taking that out, and we just used a piece of paper. And while one of us will scroll, we would cover the picture with a piece of paper. So that's very simple. You can do that as well.
Yeah. A little awkward, but that works. And so, Cristhina, I'd like you to share a story that kind of brings the humanity to this, because you've already mentioned that about how we need to make contact and protecting the screen of people so we're not seeing the pictures. But when you do have opportunities sometimes of meeting these people in particular, so can you tell a relatable story about that?
Yeah. I actually just yesterday I met this woman face to face for the first time. I had been talking to her after our outreach. We had been contacting each other through the phone and talking, and she just wanted to meet up, and she came and she told me, oh, I'm so embarrassed to meet you face to face, that to know that you saw me in those ads. And I told her, I just want you to know that I didn't see your picture. I covered your pictures. No one saw your picture. No one from the team that was there saw your picture. They don't know how you look. And I didn't know how you looked even before I met you today. So I reassured her that what I was looking at her for the first time yesterday when I met her face to face. And that's why I think it's also very beautiful to protect and the pictures, to cover them, because it also doesn't give you a view of someone that's not really who they are.
That's true. That's not who they are. And you can honestly see them, and you can say when you meet them in person that you can honestly say that, I only saw, or maybe you saw only their face or something like that, or you didn't see the picture, but now you're seeing them as they really are. And that's a precious and beautiful story. I really like that. So yeah, I'm sure you have many more to share, but who will have time for that, but maybe we'll have you on again in the future. So
thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. It does.
No, I think this is a very, very good overview. And like I said, the handout that Cristhina's prepared is in PDF, and so is George's handout about the technical aspects, and I'll make that available to you. It's it's not a link to, I can put that in the show notes during our discussion time. And so I'm going to close out the video, and we're going to have time for your questions.